Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here today. The 2024 NFL Scouting Combine is in the books, but our mock draft train rolls on. We have got the Tennessee Titans here today. The Titans, they do have some needs, and you can see probably by my background here, I am a Jaguars guy, big Jaguar fan, but make no mistake about it, I'm putting on my proverbial Titans cap today here, and I am trying to get it done in the 2024 NFL Draft for all y'all Titans fans out there. See what could happen for the Titans and do my best to kind of put together a draft class that helps in this new direction with the Tennessee Titans. Rand Carthen, hired last year to run the personnel side of things. You hire Brian Callahan this year from the Cincinnati Bengals as head coach, an offensive guy. His dad, Bill Callahan, who is one of the best offensive line coaches in the game, one of the best ever, joins him in Tennessee as well. You have Nick Holes, the Jaguars passing game coordinator, coming in to be the offensive coordinator. Brings in Denard Wilson from the Baltimore Ravens, an extremely well-liked, well-respected coach, somebody who was a hot name on the defensive coordinator market to run the defensive side of the ball. There are a ton of needs here, right? But $75 million in cap space about. You have a young quarterback in Will Levis. This is essentially, in my opinion, year 1.5 of your rebuild because you got your GM and your quarterback in 2023, along with an offensive line stalwart early in the draft. Now you get your new coaching staff in here. You have a ton of cap space, some nice draft capital as well. I say in free agency, with all that cap space, you kind of try to work on some of that offensive line, fill in some spots here and there on the defensive side of the ball, maybe some mid-tier skill guys if you want to on the offensive side. There's not going to be much more available than that anyways on offense. All these wide receivers are getting signed up and franchise tagged and all that good stuff. But I think you got to go into the draft in a pivotal year for this rebuild attacking BPA, right? You probably do want to upgrade the skill players. You do still have DeAndre Hopkins for next year. You have Tyjae Spears, Chigo Okonkwo. Who knows if you're going to get anything out of Treylon Burks, but I like Kyle Phillips as well. So the cupboard's not bare, certainly, but I think you want to upgrade your skill positions. You want to upgrade your offensive line, certainly. Find some spots to upgrade on the defensive side of things, too, when it fits with what's going on with the draft board, right? But again, just don't reach for needs, especially on defense, in my opinion, because to me, this year is all about finding out if Will Levis is the guy. That is priority number one for the Tennessee Titans, in my opinion. And if you have a real answer to that following the 2024 season, then this year was a success, in my opinion, whether the answer is yes or no. But give him the tools that he needs. And if he fails, you had your bet in 2025, right? You look to give yourself a pivot option potentially. But if he succeeds, now you're really cooking with this new look Tennessee Titans football team. No third round pick right now, which kind of sucks, but I like the idea of trading down in round one. If that option presents itself, there are several teams in the teens that maybe want to look to trade up to this spot on draft night. If a quarterback is still sitting there that they like, JJ McCarthy, a ton of buzz on him, a couple other guys that maybe could be viewed by certain teams as first rounders. It only takes one team to really covet a quarterback that needs to move up, right? Perhaps multiple teams are in on quarterback 4 or quarterback 5, and only one of those teams has to move up for you to be able to slide back and still get a lot of value and add another draft pick or two. So let's go ahead and get it going here for these Tennessee Titans. Like I said, I would love a trade down. And here we have the Las Vegas Raiders getting a little antsy on draft night, wanting to make sure they secure their quarterback at 7 overall. You trade down to 13. You also pick up the 44th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. And what do you know? At 13, Amarius Mims out of Georgia is still on the board. And this guy is one of the freakiest offensive tackle prospects you will ever see. 6'7", 340 pounds, over 36-inch arms, tremendous athlete. And despite only having 8 starts under his belt, those 8 starts are really impressive. Like, this is not a project in the way a Tyler Guyton or some of these other freaks are. This is a ready-made, ready to start from day one offensive tackle prospect in the NFL who, if he had more starting experience, I think probably would be competing for OT1, and he's not far back, in my opinion, in a great offensive tackle class. So I think Amarius Mims, the injuries aren't really that big of an issue. He had some nagging injuries in 2023, but it's not like there's a chronic injury history here. I would say you're looking at a guy that has blue chip talent, blue chip traits, The only thing that's not blue chip is you just haven't seen it as much. But what you have seen has been incredible from Amarius Mims. I say you plug him in on your offensive line, left tackle or right tackle. And I think he has that skill. Obviously, played right tackle at Georgia, but Amarius Mims, I think, could be a home run type of pick for the Titans at 13 overall. Next up at 38, first of 2 second rounders now that we traded down with the Raiders, Keon Coleman falls down the board after that 4.61 40-yard dash. It is possible. Loaded wide receiver class. You also have a lot of other positions that are pretty loaded, towards the back half of the first round, early second round, offensive tackle, edge group, talented corners. Maybe he does fall to 38. I kind of doubt it, but it does seem possible after what happened. Give me that skill set all day in the second round, right? Some of the best hands in the class, one of the most physical receivers that you're going to find, very explosive, 38-inch vertical, very twitchy. He plays fast. You saw that in the gauntlet. Despite running a 4.61 40-yard dash, he was the fastest player in the gauntlet drill. And I think the gauntlet has been a very, very accurate kind of predictor of future success. When you see guys go out there and dominate in the gauntlet the way that he dominated, I think that you can kind of say that's a guy that's confident in his hands. That's a guy that can run. And I think he can return for you too if you need him to. Excellent punt returner. But if you have two real outside threats here for Will Levis in 2024 and Keon Coleman and obviously DeAndre Hopkins, I think you're now starting to see that, we're giving him all the options he needs to be able to go out there and succeed at a high level in his second year. And then at 44, the second of those second round picks, Zach Frazier, the center out of West Virginia, one of my favorite players in this class. He is a top 20 prospect for me. You do have 2 center prospects, maybe even 3 if you include like Troy Fatanu, who some people want to see at center, that are going to be ranked ahead of him for a lot of teams. You talk about Jackson Powers Johnson. You talk about Graham Barton out of Duke. Zach Frazier is right there in my opinion, and for me, a guy that should be a first-round pick, obviously coming off the broken leg. He's doing his best to compete and go out there and do everything he can, while recovering from the broken leg. But a guy that you want on your football team, very athletic, very hard-nosed, great hands, though. A guy that I think is going to start from day one and be a stalwart for a really long time on the offensive line. You now have Amarius Mims, Zach Frazier, and Peter Skoronski that you've drafted in the last 2 years getting coached up by Bill Callahan. Like, hell yes. If you're a Titans fan, you absolutely love that, in my opinion. At 107, cornerback Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky. Such a good player, kind of underrated, not talked about a lot, but a really good athlete, very physical in coverage. He's also sticky. He's got great reactionary movement skills, really good athlete, quick feet, fluid hips, 4.48 40-yard dash, 42-inch vert, explosive, 11.3 broad. He's 5'11", 190, has pretty good length as well. So I think this is a player you're talking about getting early on day 3. That's a very good value for him. Talk about value at 145 overall, wide receiver Malik Washington from Virginia. My top candidate from this class, among many guys of the short wide receivers, 5'10" or less, that breaks out in year 1 is Malik Washington. He can do it all. He can come down with contested catches. He can create deep separation. He's a running back type once he gets the ball in his hands. He's only 5'8", but 191 pounds, has good mass on his frame, good proportional length as well. 4.47 40-yard dash, 42.5-inch vert. This is the type of guy. You have DeAndre Hopkins, you have Keon Coleman. Now you can drop Malik Washington in there, and you can use him in so many different creative ways to just get easy yardage, right? And again, he's not just a quick game weapon. He's a guy that I think can do a lot more than his 5'8" height would suggest. I think you just go back and watch the Virginia tape. It's all over it. 184 overall, safety Keaton Oladapo out of Oregon State. He is a strong safety type, but I think he can definitely be a split zone safety, play cover 2 for you, fire downhill, fluid mover. He can cover tight ends and running backs in man coverage. He's really smart in zone coverages as well. I think the versatility that he gives you in a Ravens-inspired defense now really makes a lot of sense. A 4.58 40-yard dash, 36-inch vert at 6'2", 216 pounds with long arms. I'm a huge fan of his game. I have a day 2 grade on him, so landing him this late would be excellent. And then 219, another unbelievable value. Running back, Kamani Vidal out of Troy, another short king, but I love the low center of gravity, the contact balance at 5'8", 213 pounds. Definitely played a lot bigger than 213 pounds, but he wanted to run fast, and boy, did he. A 4.46 for Kamani Vidal is great. A 37.5-inch vert is great. This guy is an awesome running back. I think he has starting traits in the NFL. I think he's a three-down player, has the willingness and the skill in pass pro, has good hands out of the backfield, and now you have two really good, really explosive young running backs. You're trying to kind of move on from the Derrick Henry era. He is a free agent. He's probably going to go to a contender. I think Kamani Vidal pairing him with Tyjae Spears makes too much sense at this point. And then at 240 overall, edge Miles Cole out of Texas Tech. He's a project, but he is a huge edge player, right? Great athlete, insane length, type of guy that you want to take a shot on, get him in your system, get him coached up by your guys, and see what you can get down the road, right? And so I think you have now set up your offense, your offensive line, your skill players to say, look, Will Levis, we gave you everything we could give you this year. You had DeAndre Hopkins and the rest of the guys we talked about already. Now we added Keon Coleman, who has insane hands, very good athlete despite that 4.6, 140. You add Malik Washington, who can also get a lot of different things done for you at wide receiver. You add Kamani Vidal. You've added so many pieces around Will Levis, and I think you're going to do even more in free agency. I don't think that there's any option other than to succeed if you're Will Levis. And if you don't succeed, you probably have your answer on what you need to do at quarterback moving forward. And in the process, you have built a really nice foundation for your roster. I love this for the Titans as a Jags fan. Do not like it very much, but try to do my best for y'all. If you're a Titans fan, please let me know what you think about this mock draft in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Y'all have a good one.